Hi, beloved. We had a class taught today by Mary Magdalene, and she talked about the difference between service and sacrifice in a way that you may not have heard before. So check it out and let me know what you think. Hi, beloved. Welcome to your empowerment place. My name is Tamala Malay, and today I will be your empowerment psychic and professor. Hello, beloved. I'm so happy to be here as the professor for your course today. My name has been attributed as Mary of Magdalene. And the statement, the words that I wish to address today are very simple but very complex. And so I would like to speak with you about the difference between service and sacrifice. So oftentimes through the religious traditions that are currently and still perpetuated on the planet, there is this idea that service comes with sacrifice. And I and all the beings that have been working to support all of you on the planet in this powerful evolutionary time really want you to understand the difference between service and sacrifice, because they are two completely different resonances. Service is a give and a receiving. Service, we'll say again, is a giving and receiving. Sacrifice is giving. And while that may be a subtle difference, if you follow the one speaking and the trainings that we've been doing with the High Council for the last 2 years or so, you will understand about the circuits of completion and the understanding that everything is a cycle and everything has to be completed. And so what that means is, in order for you to complete the energetic exchange with another person that will not disempower one party, then you must complete the circuit, which means a giver who has a receiver, and then that receiver is also a giver. And so we're going to ask the one speaking to do a blended session so that we can speak and she can participate and draw on the board for us. So the idea of service and sacrifice. So with service, there's giving plus receiving. And in sacrifice, there's only giving. And we've said that it is incomplete without the completion of the cycle. For the giver here receives, and so we're going to say a plus here because it's added to them, right? And then this, the one who receives, then reciprocates. I think that is a good word that many of you can understand with this process. So in the reciprocity that happens, the circle is complete. Energy is flowing out and in and out and in and out and in. And this spiral, this vortex that is created becomes an opportunity of expansion for both parties. Because as you're giving, you're also receiving. as you are receiving, you're also giving. And so this is going to be a spiraling process that actually pushes both parties out into their next layer of expansion. So, as an example, if one person, let's say the first person who is the giver, right, and they are going to give to the receiver, and let's say they are giving them acceptance, okay? So maybe this receiver person has been experiencing themselves as not fully received for who they are. They feel an absence of acceptance, an absence of understanding, an absence of welcome or love, right? Any of that. And all have experienced this at one point in time. And so the giver, as an act of service, is offering to this receiver acceptance. I see you as you are. I accept you as you are. Now, we also want to clarify, it doesn't mean that you approve of all of the receiver's behaviors, activities, situations, decisions, and so forth, okay? You just accept that person as they are without expectation. So then what is happening in this acceptance of acceptance, right? The person who is receiving it, then they get to blossom as accepted. And it may be a blossoming that they've never experienced before. They're being accepted for who they truly are. And so in this acceptance, they learn new things about themselves. They learn to begin to take actions in being more of who they are. They learn to begin to step into their own inner authority, their own individuation, their own self-acceptance. And as they are doing this and they receive this acceptance, they're on an energetic, microscopic, cellular level. The receiver receives the acceptance and is activated. And in that activation of, I see you and I accept you as you are, then that activation then will inspire this person to action. And the first action can be a multitude of things. It can be relief, it could be various types of emotions, it can be various types of thoughts. But one of the requirements for this act of service, and to know whether you were giving in service, is then what the receiver offers back. Now, this can be pure gratitude, and we say pure because it's not a bowing down to, it's not a making themselves less than. It is simply, thank you for seeing me. I receive the acceptance. Thank you. And in that gratitude then offers this giver the opportunity to experience pure gratitude based on their own authenticity. And so then what happens is both parties, the giver and the receiver, become more authentic. And as they are becoming more authentic, they discover more and more about what they like. about who they want to be, about who they don't want to be. And this one action of acceptance, offering acceptance, receiving the acceptance, and then offering back a resonance, in this case, pure gratitude, and offering that back to the person, then the person that is now receiving the gratitude, because this person now becomes the receiver, and this person is now the giver. And so now this person has received the gratitude, and then they're able to receive the gratitude and begin to think and feel and experience themselves as being able to offer acceptance to others, which then begins to allow them to stop being in their head all the time, to stop judging others, to stop limiting others' abilities or experiences based on their own bias, because they begin to move into what they offered, right? Because everything is an offer and a response, right? And so as this cycle continues to move, these can grow out and continue for lifetimes. And so it's important to understand that this is what happens in acts of service. They can have different resonances, but basically this is the process. So what happens then if there is simply giving, if there's sacrifice? Okay. Instead of this process, what does that look like? So we have the giver and the receiver, and the giver gives acceptance. Okay. And there's multiple things that can happen here. But basically the end result is there is no reciprocation. Okay, there's no energetic reciprocation. So that means this giver can give acceptance for who this person is, and the person can deny it. Nope. They can refuse it, which is another word. Deny it or refuse it. Or they can take it and do nothing, not respond. And so as this process happens, whether they just deny it and go, no, 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 I'm not worthy, I'm not good enough, I'm not, right? Or they go, thank you, and become, this energy is more of a narcissism. The one speaking doesn't know if that's spelled correctly, but you know what she means. This is more of a narcissism. Thank you, thank you. And it actually becomes a drain on the giver because it's actually siphoning the energy, right? It's siphoning the energy. Take, 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 take. That's what taking energy always is siphoning. Now the denying, what the denying is just, it kills it. It's just dead. It doesn't go anywhere. It's not received. Therefore, the offering that was given doesn't have life to it. It just dies. So in either one of these situations, that offer of acceptance becomes a sacrifice because it is an energetic expression that was given, but there wasn't enough wisdom, clarity, connection, awareness, whatever, in that moment to understand that that person that they were trying to give to was not in a place to receive it and reciprocate. And so this can be created in situations of codependency, of infatuation, of abuse, of disempowerment, okay? And either party can be in those roles. The giver can be the one trying to give the acceptance to the other person in order to control them, manipulate them, and so forth. Or the receiver can be giving or refusing or taking the information in order to siphon the energy from the other person or kill the energy. And this is a much more complicated topic, but we want to just give you some clarity right now, some different explanations than you've heard before. But either way, this is still sacrifice, because the energy that had life has been sacrificed. It has been released from the giver, and it either is killed, right? It dies because the receiver doesn't receive it. So that is a sacrifice. It wasn't received. And then it turns into or is transmuted into whatever the receiver desires it to be, because the energy was given to them, okay? Or they give it to them and they go, ooh, ooh, yes, take, give me more. And then it becomes energetic vampire-like. And so we want you to understand that the giver here in this sacrifice situation is the one that is doing the sacrifice, and the giver is the one that has to stop the sacrificing. In order for this pattern to stop. And so when this giver stops giving to people who don't receive, or stops giving to people who take and take and take, then they're able to gather their own energetic resources, be able to come into their own wisdom, their own authority, their own autonomy, and then be able to decide, okay, what does service look like as opposed to sacrifice? And this can be a lifetime struggle. It can be a lifetime of deciding and choosing and chancing and practicing and failing and succeeding and practicing. And that's okay. But it is a very important lesson. Now, this can be done in businesses. It can be done in personal relationships. It can be done in client, provider, practitioner relationships. It can be with parents and children. It can be with spouses. It can be with lovers. It can be with an individual and society. It can be in any human experience. And so we want you to examine over the next weeks your relationship to the energy that you're exchanging with other people. And is it an act of service that is going to serve you both? Or is it an act of sacrifice which is going to disempower both of you? Because even though this person is giving and they're losing energy, they're doing it by choice. And the receiver is also disempowered. And the receiver is disempowered because they're not creating their own energetic relationship to the experience. They're not receiving and reciprocating. Either they're not receiving at all, or they're taking. But they're not completing the process, which means they don't begin to blossom. They miss this step. And this is the step where the power comes. This is the activation point of the spiral and the blossoming. And if this doesn't occur, this is disempowerment. So we hope that this has given you some clarity, some ahas, something interesting to consider. And we will see you next time. Hi, beloved. I hope that you enjoyed this, and I'd like to invite you to the Living a Congruent Life training that we do every month, one night a month, in the Your Empowerment place. So please check that out, and you know where to look.